take a walk with me. So, we have a problem. This shop is the Stronghold Powder Shop. This is where we do the powder coat. Ignoring the disaster that is this shop, we have stuff that still needs to go over to the other building. We have a whole bunch more stuff. We have stuff in storage. We have more stuff in storage. We have garbage. We have a whole lot of powder coating supplies that have nowhere to go. And we have a whole bunch more stuff. And just literal garbage sitting in a corner. Now, any sane person would look at all of this mess and go, Daniel, just clean it up. But I'm no sane person. So what we're gonna do, rather, is build something new to shove in a corner somewhere and we'll make it work. So what I want to do is stop this. That's all powder coat. It ain't cheap and you don't wanna waste it. So we're gonna build, in theory, a homemade powder recapture cabinet where we can hang a part up, spray the part, and then whenever you're done with all the parts, you just scoop all the powder into the center and pick it up and reuse it because it'll all be good, uncontaminated powder. So to do this, we have a few steps. We have to find out where to put it. We have to decide how big it's gonna be, and we have to build it. We have to clean where it's gonna go, and then we have to bring it in. So we got 5 steps to do. I don't feel like cleaning right now, but what we can do is get started on the cabinet itself. And I'm kind of leaning towards putting it right there. Either right there or over here. What do I want to do? Thinking we're going to put it in this corner, which introduces a few problems. It'll require us to shorten the workbench by 24 inches, and the rack that I used to hang parts to cool will probably have to get moved. I can't hang cooling parts where I spray parts because it ruins the paint. But I feel like putting it in that corner is my best option because if I put it over here, it'll stick out in front of the door. I'll have to move this set of hangers, and it's right by the door, so airflow is going to be a big problem blowing my paint. So I think we're going to go ahead, build it. We'll build it first, and then we can get all this cleaned up. But build it, bring it in here, and it'll go in this corner. And we'll have to definitely shorten that to there. So it'll line up with that stud, not that stud over there. Now I know a lot of people are probably gonna be thinking, Daniel, why on earth is it such a mess? Well, I could give you a legitimate reason, and that's that I haven't had time to clean it. Every time I do a run of parts, the customer needs them like really quickly, and so I don't have time to stop and clean it up. But then I could give you the actual reason, and said I haven't felt like cleaning it up, so I haven't done anything with it, even though I've had time in between orders. So, a legitimate reason is I haven't had time to. The actual reason is I just didn't want to, so I haven't done it. So we're going to build the cabinet with, it's technically dry erase board, I think is what they call it, which if you ever need a dry erase board in a workshop, go to Home Depot and buy this. I think I paid $6 a piece for these 4x2s, and to buy an actual dry erase board, it's like, I'm guessing around 20 bucks if I remember right. Because I looked to get a dry erase board in here at one point and decided not to because it's expensive. Now that I know about these, I could buy one of these and have a dry erase board in here for designing parts, which would be awesome. But anyway, unrelated. We're going to make the capture cabinet out of this because this is super smooth and I think it'll clean up fairly easily, and then if we use a rag, it'll wipe off. I got these 2x4s back here, and these are gonna be what we build the frame for the bench out of, because we're building a full bench for this cabinet to sit on. So it'll all be kind of one piece, but yep, here's our 2x4s for the frame. I think we're gonna rip them in half, is what I was planning. So we have, it's like a 1 3/4 by 1 1/2 little almost squares. And then that should be more than heavy duty enough because this isn't bearing weight other than itself. The parts will still hang from the ceiling. There we go. This is an upgrade I've actually wanted for a while, and I tried it in the other shop and I did it wrong. This is what we're going to do for planning and notes while we're doing rebuilds and stuff. So, if I want to design something, I can draw on here, draw out a quick sketch of the design. If I have notes of stuff I need to do, I can write it out. If there's steps on something, I can write out the steps that I have ahead of me. So very excited about this. I hope this is gonna help keep me a little bit more organized with what I'm doing in here specifically, and kind of help me keep things moving nicely. And for you guys, I can draw stuff out to show you what I'm gonna be doing instead of just saying like, hey, we're building this thing, let's do it. I'd be like, hey, we're gonna be building this and here's what it's gonna kind of look like. So along those lines, this is also where I'm about to draw the powder coat recapture table. So let me show you what I'm thinking. So this thing's gonna be 4 foot wide, 48 inches, made of this material, which I actually stole one of the boards that we're gonna use to make this. So I'm gonna have to get a new one, but that's fine, they're super cheap. And then it's gonna have walls so that the powder doesn't go out the sides. And our base is gonna be made of the same material, so when the powder rests on it, we have a nice smooth surface to just recapture all the powder on. And then it'll be resting on a bench very similar to our workbench that I have over there. And it'll obviously have its legs. And then underneath it, we can store our powder coating, we can store our acid that we use for etching parts, and we can store our acetone and everything. So we can store stuff under there. Up on top is where we will powder coat and blast into, and then we'll have a hook hanging from the ceiling that we hang our parts on. Now this thing, I'm gonna position it 35 inches up, because that's a comfortable work surface. That's what this other bench is, and I wanna copy that because I really like it. And then it's gonna be 24 inches deep. So this is what we're making, 48 inches wide, 24 inches deep, only because these are 48 inches wide and 24 deep. So it'll just be a full sheet of this. We'll need one for the back, one for the bottom, and one to make up both sides. So we need 3 total. I have 2, we'll have to get another one. All right, so this is what we're gonna be doing. I'm pretty happy with this design. I think it'll be nice and simple, fairly light. It doesn't need to be anything super heavy. So let's get to it. Okay, so working with the drawing that we just came up with, let's go ahead and start cutting some 2x4s. We're going to build the legs, and then we can work on the base, and then we'll make the frame to actually hold the masonite board that will make up the capture booth. So let's get some boards cut. All right, so that's our 4 legs. Okay, now we need 2 48-inch pieces. All right, now we need, for the depth boards that'll go on the ends, we need 2 21-inch pieces, and that's because we're gonna make it 2 foot deep, and these are going to end cap like this, and then we'll have a board that goes up against it like that. So we need to remove the thickness of 2 of these for the front and the back, which gives us 21. Okay, now to make the bottom braces that will connect the legs at the bottom so we don't get a whole bunch of wobbling or twisting going on, we need to, because of the thickness of the leg and the top board, the cross member will rest up against the leg. So we need to subtract 3 inches for each side. So that's a total of 6 inches. So if we have a 48-inch bench, we need a 42-inch bottom support. That's sketchy. All right, it is pretty much time to start attaching all this. So I'm gonna real quick clean up all the sawdust just because I don't like having sawdust sitting around in here. And then we can start building the base of the bench. Once we get the base of the bench built, then we can start building the frame that will hold the dry erase board. And that'll make the actual cabinet. We're already getting a bit of twisting, but I think that's okay. We should be able to pull that out as we build it. Yeah, see, that's not bad now. That's only about a 1/4 inch rise from one corner to the other, so I can live with that because that'll definitely pull out. Oh, I had a panic attack. I thought I just used the wrong board on something. Forgot I set them off to the side. Wow, all right. I'm driving some rather large screws into very thin wood, so I'm just really hoping it doesn't split it. Now, this is our lower shelf, which it looks like I made it correctly. All right, a little trick I learned for this design. Set a couple 2x4s under there, so now it keeps it at the right height while you screw it in. It took me way too long to come up with that. Hey, you can't drive a Torx head screw with a Phillips head. Might want to switch that around, dummy. So that is our bench, primarily. I'm gonna put some extra screws in to just kind of reinforce things. I put in less screws than you really need, so that when I put it together, it doesn't warp as badly, but it should seem to have worked. It's a very minor warp in it right now. And once I put the sheathing on it and stuff, I think it'll kind of pull it flat. So we can go ahead and put our final screws in to really lock this thing together. And then put our shelf on here, which I happen to have some of that material because I bought too much for something else I was doing a while back. Now this method for building a workbench always works really good, but it has one major flaw, and it's relying on a lot of end grains. So if your end grain is ever bad, you're gonna have issues. Like right here I have some minor splitting going on from these screws. So it relies on a lot of end grain attachment. I'm sure there's a better way to build a bench. This is just the way I found to do it, because it's pretty quick, pretty easy, and surprisingly strong and cheap at the same time. So we'll put one of these up here, I think, just to keep this super strong, and then we'll put our sheathing on top of it. That way, like if we ever have to set a part down right here or something, it's not just gonna instantly break that masonite, because that stuff's only like a 1/4 inch thick, if even. I think it's actually 3/16. So this will strengthen it. We'll put this on it, strengthen the bench, strengthen the masonite once it's on, and we'll put another piece of this on the bottom down there as the shelf, but we have to cut that one. So let's do the bottom one first, just so it's easier to put the screws on without having this in our way up top. All right, so that'll just sit there. All right, so the frame is gonna be 24 inches by 48. We're gonna make the bottom board full width, and then the other boards that go vertically will rest on it. So we need a 24, and then we'll need two 21-inch boards, and then another 24 to go on top. And that'll make our square. We need to make 2 of them for both ends. And this is all the wood I have. Something tells me that this is not enough. So we really need to be careful to do some material optimization here to make sure we have enough to build this. This looks like it'll be pretty much perfect for our 2 boards that'll go here and here going horizontally. That'll end up being 45. This is 45 1/4. This will be perfect. Whew. That makes so much sawdust, it's crazy. My pockets are gonna be all full of it. Wow, we barely have enough. Oh Oh boy, we got a storm rolling in. It's getting dark out there. All right, I think we'll try to cut it lengthwise first. We'll cut this little stub off the end. We have about a 6-inch piece that needs to come off. Then we'll cut it lengthwise, and then we'll dice those pieces up. That is not what this tool is meant for, by the way. It can do it just fine, but it's not exactly meant to do that with a handsaw. You're supposed to use a table saw. But it works, so who cares? Alright, now let's chop these to the shorter sections. Okay, I had to trim these down because I realized that when you cut a 2x4 in half, you don't have an 1.5 by 1.5, you have 1.5 by 1.75. So that means the way I'm going to be building these, they're going to be sitting up tall, so it's actually a whole 1/2 inch taller than if they were laying on their side. So I actually had to cut all these a 1/2 inch shorter. So I just clamped them together, made sure one side was perfectly flush, and cut them all 1/2 inch short on one side. But now we should be ready to assemble, in theory. I meant to install this sheet of masonite first, so I gotta take that off. Now my final step is I'm going to tape these seams so that we don't have powder spill over into those seams and then we can't clean it out properly and we have contamination with other powders. So we're gonna tape all these seams up. I got some masking tape. We'll try it with that. I think that should work pretty good. And then this thing's pretty much done. All right. I hope this thing works. I assume it will because it's just, you know, all the surface area for the powder to fall back down on. I can't imagine it'll be a problem. Now what we gotta do is clean out the other building and get a place for this to go in it. Now the only problem with that is it's supposed to get cold and nasty here for a couple days and I need to be able to really pull stuff out of that building to properly clean it. But we'll see if I can do some work on it in the meantime and kind of just get a space for this to go. All right guys, thank you so much for watching. Sadly we're gonna have to call this one here, but we got the bench built and it is ready to go into the other building. We just have to clean out the other building a little bit before this will even fit. So that'll be the next video on this, is getting the powder shop kind of emptied out and cleaned out. I'd like to do a full reset where I pull everything out of the building, clean it up, you know, blow all the powder out, remove anything that I don't need in there anymore, bring it over here, and then put everything that belongs in there back in all at once. That's just kind of the best method I've found for resetting stuff, is don't try to do it a little bit at a time, just gut it and go with the project. So I'm hoping to do that soon. I need some nice weather though. It's not supposed to be too bad this week, but I don't know if I'll get around to it this week because I got some other stuff going on. But hopefully we can get that done soon. This can go in there and then we can test it out on the next batch of parts that we do. So I'm very much excited about that, looking forward to it. I think this is gonna be a huge upgrade, especially if it works as I'm expecting. We might be able to save up to half of our waste or more. So that'll be very exciting. That'll save a lot of money and really increase some profit margins. So very much looking forward to it. But once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I'm pretty happy with what we did get done. I think this thing's gonna be super cool. Hope you all have a wonderful week, and I look forward to posting again in a couple more weeks. Bye.